Welcome. You are listening to Our Mindful Nature, formerly titled The Mindful Minute. I'm your host, Meryl Arnett, and this podcast explores the deep connection between land and self through nature-based meditations and meditative experiences that invite us back into belonging to each other, to our ancestors, to the earth, and to all beings that make up this universe. If you would like to access these meditation practices as standalone audio files, please subscribe to my newsletter at merylarnett.com. It's free, and you'll receive a new mini meditation each week, along with behind-the-scenes content and bonus material for each podcast episode. All right, grab a cup of tea, pop in your headphones, and find a comfy seat. Let's settle in for today's episode. I recently read some of the work of David Haskell, who writes a lot about sound. And at one point he wrote, "Listening opens us to what is hidden or unappreciated." Listening opens us to what is hidden or unappreciated. And I think perhaps this is the overarching invitation for our practice today. As we listen to these sounds, we are hearing the cosmos surrounding us, and I hope the cosmos within us. I know I mentioned in the beginning, but there is so many writings that talk about the landscape of the inner body, right? As a microcosm of the universe. Kabir writes about hundreds of millions of stars inside of us. We see those same writings in the Radiant Sutras, in poems across time, and in the words of Carl Sagan from a much more sciencey lens, saying, in truth, we are made of star stuff, right? As we listen to the sounds in today's meditation, there are a few reflections that I just want to offer up as potential points of curiosity. The first one is a really interesting reflection on time, right? Because you and I are going to do this practice in the present moment, this moment, right here, right now. And it's a different time of day for each of us. We've had a different day. Some of us maybe have had amazing days thus far. Maybe the day hasn't even begun. Maybe you've had a really tough day. All of this impacts how we hear, what we hear, and how we feel about what we hear. And if you listen to this exact same practice tomorrow, next week, next month, next year, it will land differently. Different data will be available to you because of where we are in the present moment. Now, at the same time, hand in hand, what we are listening to is data that has been traveling to us for millions of light years. Millions of light years. This is not a snapshot from just this moment in space, right? This happened millions of light years ago and has been traveling towards us and was at some point captured and then translated into the sounds we hear. So the relationship to time in this practice is deep, vast, wide. It covers the spectrum of time. I also want to throw out, there's an interesting reflection on connection that happens when we listen to these sounds. Because what we're hearing, the places and objects in the cosmos, they have been present for every iteration of Earth. From the creation of the planet to the earliest organisms, the earliest humans, and everything in between. I think it's safe to say that every human species and many animal species have looked up at the sky, whether for navigation, for curiosity, for stories. There is ancestral connection that can show up as we listen to the sounds of the stars. I know I have shared this in many episodes before, but truthfully, one of my very favorite reflections when I go outside at night and look up is that the moon I am looking at is not only the exact same moon that every single one of you listeners all over the world are looking at, but it's also the same moon that every single ancestor I have ever had has looked at. So we might invite in these curious or spontaneous or perhaps simply grateful appreciation reflections on time, on connection, on the cosmos itself. So I want to tell you a little bit about what we're going to hear, and then we'll get right into our practice. So we're going to hear the three sonifications that Dr. Arcand mentioned as her favorites, right? What you'll hear first, and actually throughout the entire meditation, are ocean waves. These ocean waves were recorded by nature field recordist Nick McMahon, and they serve as our anchor, our tether. You see the space movies and the astronaut leaves the spaceship, right? And there's a tether. They don't just like go out. There's something that anchors them so that they don't get lost in space. We need the same thing in our practice. So the ocean serves as our home base, our anchor. And then we'll move into a sound that again will be repeated throughout the practice. And this is the sound of a black hole, Perseus Black Hole. And this sound is deep and cosmic. It's the sound I associate with like alien abduction, right? And I want us to remember what Dr. Arcand mentioned about black holes being these cosmic recycling centers, digesting what is no longer needed and releasing the building blocks of creation. Right. And when I hear this sound, what I think of, what I feel internally is that energy that moves through our spine. Right. Very often, metaphorically, the spine is referred to as a river. And today we might think of this as a river, as a galaxy, as a black hole, or that black hole energy moving through our body, digesting what is no longer needed and releasing the elements of creation. We'll start down at the base of our pelvis, the root of our body, and we will travel the length of the spine, moving through our major energy centers. Those are usually called the chakras. And as we move through these chakras, we are going to hear the center of the Milky Way galaxy. And we're going to hear a couple iterations. So each sonification that we hear of the Milky Way galaxy adds a new layer of data, a new layer of knowing onto the previous sound. And so we'll let that carry us up through our spine, through our sacrum, our navel center, our heart, our throat, our third eye. And then when we reach the top, when we reach the crown, right, this is where we're going to hear that Chandra Deep Field South recording. And this sonification is not one specific dot in space, but a field that is filled with black holes and galaxies. And I find that the invitation in that sonification is one of deep connection, of really finding ourselves as a thread woven into the very fabric of the cosmos. So let's get ready to practice. Now, couple of notes. If you have headphones, I highly recommend you go get them and pop them in your ears if you can. The sounds are incredible, and I really want you to hear them. If you're listening in the car, if you're listening on the go, you will still hear them. I'm sure it is still a great experience, and I hope you'll come back and listen again with headphones. Gold star, if you go outside at night, you lay down on the earth, look up, and do the meditation. Totally fine to lay down at home, inside, during the day. It's all good. You pick your spot. Maybe lay down, maybe put in headphones. Take time to settle yourself. Get all the props that you need to feel comfortable, safe, supported. As you settle into your shape, letting your arms rest, maybe letting your eyes close. Let's begin our practice here with a deep breath together. Inhaling in, exhaling out a sigh. And we'll just do that again, inhaling deeply. Exhaling out a sigh. Letting your breath go back to its own comfortable pace. And beginning your practice by silently saying to yourself, now is my time to meditate. Now is my time to meditate. And as you say those words, perhaps you feel yourself settling a little heavier onto the earth beneath you. Letting the weight of your body drop. Letting the edges soften. And simply taking in the sounds of the waves. Inviting the ocean to serve as our anchor, our home base. Let breath move through you as you let go of everything that's already happened and all the things that we'll do later. And drop your awareness down towards the very base of your pelvis. The root of our body here. We hear the sounds of a black hole. The sounds of cosmic recycling. Digesting what is no longer needed, no longer true for us. And at the same time releasing all the building blocks of creation. And feel your breath and your energy expanding. Awareness beginning to rise from that root, moving up the spine towards your sacrum. Sacrum is that flat, triangular shaped bone at the base of the spine. We breathe in and out of the sacrum, taking in the sounds of the Milky Way galaxy. Breath and energy invite us to travel. Slowly and steadily moving through the spine and up towards the navel center. Landing at the navel center to breathe in and out here. Listening, feeling, foraging for the sounds here. And with the breath deep and soft, we journey a little further. Energy of the spine of the black hole carrying us up into the heart center. Breath and energy continues to journey deeper, carrying us from the heart up towards the center of the throat. Journeying deeper, moving from the throat up right into the center of the brain. Midbrain, third eye spot. Awareness gradually moves to the crown of the head. A vast opening here. A field of galaxies, black holes, a field of sensation and connection. And breath flows. We feel ourselves deeply woven into the fabric of the cosmos. And with this awareness, we start to send our energy back down from the crown to the midbrain, midbrain to the throat, to the heart, navel, sacrum, to the root. We let our breath and awareness spread throughout the entire body, fingertips to toe tips. And let's just spend a few more minutes here at the shore, lying on the earth and taking in the experience. Slowly deepening your breath here. letting that breath expand through the entirety of the body. Wiggling your fingers and toes, finding those edges. And together we'll finish here with a deep breath in. Exhaling out a sigh. Taking all the time you need to let go of the practice today. To gradually blink your eyes open once again. Thank you guys for sharing in that experience, that exploration with me. I hope you enjoyed it. Huge thank you to NASA for the use of the sonifications and some of the images. I'm so grateful. An equally huge thank you to Nick McMahon for the use of the ocean waves and for the sound design and production of this experience. I'm deeply grateful. Thank y'all. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you next week. Thanks for listening to Our Mindful Nature. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider sharing it with a friend or leaving me a review wherever you get your podcasts. It helps others to find the show, and let's face it, we could all use a few more meditators in our lives. Our Mindful Nature is recorded on Muskogee land and produced with the support of Brianna Nielsen. Deep gratitude is offered to acoustic ecologists Gordon Hempton and Nick McMahon for the use of their nature field recordings in many of these episodes. To join my live classes, ask questions, or learn about my teacher trainings, please visit merylarnett.com. Thanks again for listening. I'll see you next week.